The phone rang in the middle of a thunderstorm. The millionaire, Daniel Cross, barely looked up from his glass of whiskey. He was sitting alone in his mansion's study. Oak walls, gold-framed paintings, and a silence so deep it hurt. The world saw him as untouchable, a man who built an empire from nothing, whose name opened doors. But tonight the phone wouldn't stop ringing. Annoyed, he finally picked it up. "Hello?" His voice was sharp. There was a tiny pause. Then a trembling voice whispered, "Daddy, it hurts." The glass slipped from his hand. It shattered on the floor, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt his heart stop. Who is this?" he stammered, his voice trembling. "It's me, Daddy." "Lily?" He froze. His chest tightened. That name, he hadn't heard it in years. His ex-wife had taken their daughter away after the divorce, tired of his obsession with money and power. He hadn't even known where they went. And now, in the middle of a stormy night, his little girl, his baby, was calling him. Crying. Hurting. He shot to his feet, heart pounding. "Lily, where are you? Tell Daddy where you are." But before she could answer, the line went dead. Daniel's phone slipped from his hand, and he fell to his knees. The man who had conquered every challenge, who commanded thousands of employees and billions in assets, was suddenly powerless, and in that moment, something inside him broke. He didn't waste another second. Within minutes, Daniel was tearing through his mansion, yelling at his assistant over the phone to trace the call. "Find her! I don't care what it costs!" But no amount of money could ease the terror in his chest. Every second that passed was agony. He didn't even know where to start. His ex-wife, Julia, had cut all contact years ago. He hadn't been a father then. He'd been a man chasing numbers, not moments. And now, his daughter was out there, hurt and afraid, calling for a man who hadn't been there when she needed him most. Hours passed before his assistant finally called back. "Sir, the call came from a hospital. St. Mary's downtown." He didn't wait for details. He drove through the rain like a madman, his luxury car sliding on wet roads. Every flash of lightning lit his face, haunted, pale, desperate. When he reached the hospital, he burst through the doors, soaking wet, shouting her name. "Lily Cross! My daughter! Where is she?" The nurse at the desk blinked, startled. "Sir, please calm down." "What's her mother's name?" "Julia. Julia West." Recognition flickered in her eyes. "Room 214, but sir, she's in critical condition." The words nearly brought him to his knees again. He sprinted down the corridor, heart hammering in his chest. The smell of antiseptic filled the air, mingled with his fear. And when he pushed open the door, the sight before him shattered him completely. A small girl, barely 6 years old, lay pale and fragile on the hospital bed. Tubes ran from her tiny arms. Her hair stuck to her forehead and she was whispering something. His name. Daddy. He stumbled forward, falling beside the bed, his trembling hand covering hers. "I'm here, baby." "Daddy's here." Her eyes fluttered open. "It hurts." Tears streamed down his face. He'd built skyscrapers, signed million-dollar deals, but he couldn't stop his daughter's pain. He couldn't buy her comfort. All he could do was hold her hand and pray. A soft voice broke the moment. "Daniel." He turned and saw Julia standing in the doorway. Her face was tired, her eyes red. But there was no anger, just sorrow. "You shouldn't be here," she whispered. He rose slowly, guilt written across his face. "I didn't even know she was sick." "Julia, why didn't you tell me?" Her lip trembled. "You didn't care, Daniel. You cared about meetings, not moments. You missed her birthdays, her school plays, everything. When she got sick, I didn't think you'd even answer the phone." He looked at her, broken. "I've made mistakes, Julia, but please, don't shut me out now. Let me be here for her. Just this once," she hesitated. Then, seeing the tears in his eyes, she nodded. That night, Daniel sat beside his daughter's bed, holding her hand, whispering stories she couldn't fully hear. He promised her everything, not money, not gifts, but time, love, and presence. Hours turned into days. Lily's condition worsened, then improved, then worsened again. Daniel barely left her side. He watched as doctors rushed in and out, as Julia prayed silently in the corner. But one night, when the machines beeped too slowly, Daniel broke. He sank to the floor, clutching Lily's small hand to his chest, sobbing. "Please, God, take everything. Take the cars, the houses, the company. Just don't take her." The nurse gently touched his shoulder. "Sir, she's a fighter. Don't lose hope." Days later, as the first sunlight broke through the hospital window, Lily's hand moved. Her small fingers wrapped weakly around his. "Daddy?" she whispered. He gasped, eyes flooding. "I'm here, baby." "I'm right here," she smiled faintly. "It doesn't hurt anymore." Julia burst into tears. Daniel pressed his forehead to their daughter's hand, whispering, "Thank you. Thank you, God." From that day forward, he changed. He sold his company shares, donated millions to children's hospitals, and built one foundation in particular, Lily's Hope. It provided care for sick children whose parents couldn't afford treatment. Years later, when Lily was older, she stood beside him on stage as he accepted a humanitarian award. Cameras flashed. The audience applauded. But Daniel wasn't looking at them. He was looking at her, and when she smiled at him and whispered, "I'm proud of you, Daddy," he knew that no fortune could ever match the worth of that moment. The same man who once ruled boardrooms now spent his days in hospital playrooms, laughing, reading stories, bringing joy where there was pain. Because one late-night call had reminded him of something no success could replace. That love, not money, is what truly saves us. And sometimes, a little girl's trembling voice saying, "Daddy, it hurts," is all it takes to heal a man's broken soul.